There's a kind of clarity that can only come when we stop trying to hold it all together. And this full moon in Scorpio is actually providing us with that offering. See, there's a clear emotional signal that's coming from beneath the surface. And it might show up through discomfort, it might show up through insight. But the thing that is certain is that something is becoming undeniable for us. And it's also asking us to be able to respond with more transparency and honesty. So in this video, what I'm going to do is break down the power of this full moon in Scorpio and reveal exactly how we can take advantage of what type of signal is trying to come through our energetic field, and we can take advantage of that. So if we quickly take a look at the full moon chart itself, we can see here that the moon is sitting at 22 degrees of Scorpio, the sun at 22 degrees of Taurus, and it's conjunct Uranus, big outer planet. And what makes this such a potent full moon is the fact that there is a dynamic tension between the emotional truth that is wanting to emerge and our surface comforts, right? Scorpio-Taurus axis. It's wanting to show us what is alive within us and also reveal what we might hold on to just to feel safe. And that's the thing. Uranus comes along and it wants to shake things up. And it doesn't ask politely. So if you're experiencing the sort of turbulence and the energy of destabilization around you, this is not something that is actually working against you, even though it probably will feel like that. As I said, you might have to experience the clarity of this emotional signal arrive through discomfort. You might actually experience it through the signal of insight that allows for a paradigm shift to take place. Either way, whatever is being trying to be shaken off so that you can have that clearer signal, that energy is not working against us. It's working for you, and it's allowing you to be able to meet and prepare for the ongoing shift that is taking place with Neptune in Aries and eventually Saturn in Aries as well. So this is for us. It's doing the job that allows us to come into that clarity. Now, there are two finger of God configurations in this full moon, which suggests to me that this is a full moon of great adjustment as well. Finger of God or Yod configurations often point towards the necessity for emotional and psychological adjustment. This finger of God that I'm referring to specifically is the moon that's sitting in Scorpio. That's the apex. And it's making the configuration aspect to Jupiter in Gemini and Chiron in Aries. And it's both Chiron in Aries and Jupiter in Gemini that is forcing the pressure and creating the pressure onto the moon where the adjustment needs to take place. This isn't about the experience of turbulence or chaos. This energy is more like acting like a funnel that's bringing you into deeper presence. And it's asking that. It's narrowing down the emotional response, and it's giving you an option to choose. Now, what this energy may feel like is you're circling the same question over and over. You might be unsure how to act, but sure, you can't avoid it. That's the insight there. You might even be pulled into deeper emotional territory that's asking for presence and not solutions. So this is about focused emotional insight that this adjustment is requiring. It's not about overthinking or trying to find a solution to something. It's actually just an invitation into real presence with what is wanting to emerge. That's the moon in Scorpio. What is wanting to emerge? So I'm going to linger now on Chiron and Aries' message, because of course it's part of the yode, and it's also connecting to Pluto as well. And of course part of the full moon. Chiron's message is about reclaiming the self and no longer remaining silent. You see, for a long period of time, our wounding from our sense of self has been shaped by staying small or hiding the parts of yourself because you were too much, or that you weren't allowed to take on life because it threatened the security of other people's inability to awaken their own self and agency. Chiron in Aries' message is breaking down and freeing yourself from the message that says, I shouldn't take up space, or I should be invited into my life in order to live it. I need to be told first what to do. This is not a pattern of energy that wants you to remain silent and keep yourself small. It's about taking up space, and it's about reclaiming what is your power. But you can only do that if you listen to the moon in Scorpio that says this is an energy pattern that you can't suppress anymore. In order for you to move into this new space, you must acknowledge what there is and what is in the way and what signal might be stopping you from believing this to be true. Chiron's and Aries' message is reclaiming the self, as I said. And it's about no longer remaining silent and utilizing the moon in Scorpio to unearth that which must be made transparent, that which must be made honest. And if you can do that for yourself, this full moon will give you the power to be able to transform that wound into something incredibly potent. Now, Jupiter in Gemini could probably be overwhelming for many of us. It's because our mind wants to go in all different directions. Luckily, we've got Mercury in Taurus at the moment that will offer us the opportunity to ground those thoughts and even bring our attention into more of what is beneath the surface. And of course, Mercury is also squaring Pluto at the moment, which is amplifying the opportunity for a complete mental upgrade, an ability to challenge the types of scripts that we might be running that hold us in a deeper state of disempowerment. You remember, Jupiter is part of the inconjunct to the moon, and it is in the relationship to Chiron and Aries. So the messaging is very clear in terms of what the adjustment is trying to take place within ourselves. This aspect with Jupiter and Gemini and with Pluto squaring Mercury is that we have this opportunity for this upgrade, and we're challenging the types of messaging. We're wanting to look at the inner dialogues and the types of scripts that we run and break them down with the awareness of the full moon. Now, some of the ways that we can experience or work with this energy is like this. So recognizing where scarcity or fear still runs the show. Classic embodied emotional response when we're dealing with Scorpio-Taurus axis, but that's a powerful one. Seeing how your inner voice reflects someone else's conditioning. Another powerful understanding that we will carry with us dialogue and messaging and impressions from when we were growing up, and the types of society and values and rules and perspectives that our parents had and other people had. When we're trying to make sense of the world, we will naturally be vulnerable to impressions. Now that you're at the space, how many of those impressions are still holding you in a state of static disempowerment? By catching yourself mid-thought and realizing that it's not actually true for me anymore is a great way of creating a barrier between that thought process that's just running through and your ability to hold on. I need to firstly check in with whether or not this script, this dialogue, this memory pattern is keeping me in a loop. That's the power of the Jupiter to the moon, is that the moon is saying, hey, if we're emotionally present and aware with what the loops are about or the messaging is about, we can actually start to have the opportunity to break that loop by questioning it. Is this still true? There is a signal that is coming through from beneath the surface, and Pluto wants to make that loud and clear. Are we able to hear it? So let's dive into the second yod. So let's journey into what the messaging of the second yod is actually about. This time round, we've actually got Chiron at the apex, the South Node in Virgo, and the full moon in Scorpio. Now, what I can say about this finger of God aspect is that we've got the emotional weight of the Scorpio full moon touching that Chiron in Aries. And so we're going to be very aware of this subconscious wounding that we carry around that Chiron in Aries energy, right? The reclaiming of the self and not remaining silent for what is your power, and then reclaiming that agency. It's Chiron's message. The South Node aspect tells us and shows us that because of the nature of this energy, we might come into memory of where these patterns of wounding took place originally. We might be sensitive to where that sits in the emotional body in our energetic field. The connection to the South Node reminds us, hey, here is where we have been. The moon in Scorpio says, I want to show you what has brought you to this place. The aspect that is asking for the adjustment is the Chiron part, which is saying, let's look back at those places, not with the disempowerment perspective, remember Jupiter square, but with the opportunity to break free from the messaging that is held from the past, right? This is a pattern of, it's a checkpoint, rather a place that allows you to reinforce the suffering, right? The challenges, the grief, the pain. It's a checkpoint that says, let's have a choice to stop that from continuing. To me, I feel that the power of this aspect is probably what creates the possibility and the potential for this full moon to be incredibly potent for so many of us. This is an opportunity to not relive the experiences and get trapped in the grief of it, but to see it as an opportunity to respond in a completely new way. So I wanted to integrate into this full moon message the significance of just the signs Scorpio and Taurus, and understand that this is like beneath the surface. This is a reevaluation of value and power. You see, the Scorpio-Taurus axis will show us where our resources are, and also our capacity to become resilient, especially on an emotional level. See, this full moon might actually feel like a deep challenge or confrontation around energetic entanglement or financial entanglement. This might actually show you where you are holding on to things where you perceive that still to be security. And probably the most empowering one is recognizing where we're actually in alignment with something and when we're not in alignment with something. It wants to expose this to the surface and show us what actually really wants to be transformed. Now, Pluto and Aquarius at a collective level is reshaping our entire collective value structure. And it's doing this at a very rapid pace. On a personal level, the question that you want to be asking yourself is, what is it that you're ready to build in your life right now that is in alignment with your values, with what represents true internal empowerment for yourself? And what type of path are you willing to walk down to experience that in the most authentic way possible? If this full moon is stirring something up for you around your security, your truth, your power, I'm telling you, you're not alone in this process. These internal shifts are happening to many of us. And we're actually creating something in response to that. A live journey where both Jennifer and I will actually be teaching together. And this is the first time that this is happening. So we're not ready to share the details on when that will be happening, but we are inviting you to our interactive Telegram group. And if you also subscribe to our newsletter, you'll be able to have updates on when we're going to be starting this process. Both links are actually in the description, okay? And if you're looking for something more personal, like one-to-one guidance, I'm actually opening up some spaces for Metamorphosis, my one-to-one journey. It's a really deep and really transformative space that is designed to help people who are ready to cross a threshold within themselves, to begin recognizing what layers you are ready to shed in order for you to begin emerging into a more empowered and more strengthened version of yourself. So I'm inviting you to a call where we can discuss exactly if this is the right fit for you. It's a space to ask questions, to get to know exactly what your types of needs are, and to be able to know if there is a possibility or a potential to want to work together. Now, you can apply for this call by just clicking the link down below in the description as well. It's a great opportunity for those of you that are ready and feel that you're on a threshold and you need that container and that support and that ability to use astrology to get you through that threshold and onto the other side and awaken your truest gifts and highest potential. Now, my summary of the full moon is that it's not asking you to be fearless. It's asking you to be real with what is. It's saying to you that you don't need to keep silencing yourself, to allow for you to awaken the version of you that has been dormant for such a long time because you were told to be that way, or that's what the impression you got from the outside world or the belief system that you might carry. This is about opening to presence and allowing that energetic signal to come to the surface to tell you what is undeniable, and then to address that with a shift in perspective and to allow for that signal to bring the clarity, even though it could be sharp. It's ultimately liberating and freeing. We get a choice with this full moon, the one where we get to reinforce the grief and to stay trapped into the past, or see the past experience as an opportunity to move away from it by challenging our sense of perception of what we might use to keep us in that loop. I really hope that this full moon brings you the empowerment that I can feel is so deeply embedded into it. Until the next video, guys, have an amazing one. Take care. Bye-bye.